Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to start looking at putting in your floors. For example, your floor slabs. So there's going to be a series of floor slabs here. Generally, in these type of buildings, your main floor slab between the floors is quite thick, but where your balconies are, there's usually a step down from the main floor to the balcony itself. So we're going to have a series of floors that we need to start looking at. And again, this is quite rough to start with because we're going to fine tune a lot of this information. And you'll find a lot of this, all this stuff in here will sit on top of a surface bed. So on your ground floor, you have a surface bed and the rest of the floors will be floor slabs themselves. So what we'll need to do is go and set up a series of floor types and then a series of floor slabs. Okay, so for the first point, I've got some work to start with. You'll find there might be a step between here as well, which I might introduce because here is a step already. So you can see these steps going up into this lobby, but I don't see a line of a step. I could see maybe there's a step here, for example, between these two, but usually there's an arrow showing you where a step occurs. So for now, I'm going to make this all one level, and then we can deal with these levels on the outside. Okay. All right, so here I might introduce another step to get up to this point. Okay, for this model, I'm just going to start, I'll fine tune that a bit later and show you how that works. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to start working with your floor slabs. So in architecture, we're going to go to floor, and we're going to say floor architectural. You've got different ways to create a floor slab and slab edges. We'll discuss this a bit later, but for now, I want to create an architectural floor. Okay, and I want a 125 surface bed. Okay, so if we go to edit type, just make sure everything is correct. It's a structure object. Great. So this is going to sit on our ground floor level. So what's neat is you can pick walls in this instance. So here I can say it'll pick the line of the walls. So your surface bed will use these types of walls. Okay, but this is still early days. Okay, just remember you need to pick what side of the wall it needs to be. I want this to be all interior walls. That one will switch to the interior side of the wall. Okay, so you can use the pick line tool, or you can, see that's connected to a wall, but you can move it away. It automatically picks the wall. Usually in this scenario, it'll go to the face. There's usually a step in front of, or you might find that this wall will project, the floor might go up until there because it's a protected floor. So we might do that for the time being. With these type of shop fronts, they do, generally we take it to the exterior side. Here I'll just pick another bit of line work and then trim this. Okay, that will trim. So in essence, that will do for now. Okay, so go to 3D view. So this will be my initial floor slab. Okay, another thing that I might need to do is I might need to extend these external walls, so these ground walls, I'll need to make them go into the ground, so -510. So I'm extending them into the ground beyond the ground floor so that I can maybe put a foundation on these external walls because they will be carrying, so all these external walls will have to, I can do that on my ground floor plan. So I can select, so this wall, for example, not all of them will do this. So I'm selecting that wall, that wall, that wall, this external wall. The internal walls don't. You'll find that some of these walls will also, these look like they will go through as well. So all of these walls will be, so base offset -510. Okay, so they go into the ground and they'll have a foundation. Okay, so they go beneath the ground floor slab that we've just established. I mean, this is still rough, but you'll see it will start taking shape. And then what's nice about it, I can go, for example, and add a foundation. So in structure, I can say foundations, and you'll see it'll automatically put the foundation on for that. Okay, and you'll start seeing that in section a bit better. But for now, that's more an advanced. Okay, so ground floor. So now I've got a ground floor slab in. I'm going to start creating some basic sections as well, just so that I can start seeing this building a bit better and interpreting the building a little better. Switch off this, make it fine. So here I've got my ground floor slab now, and you can see it's starting to join the wall. You'll notice that the plaster doesn't go right down to the bottom, and that's something that we might have to look at as well. You might find that these walls will have to have just masonry going down, for example, or there's different ways to do it. Okay, I show it like that, and I just use drafting items to get rid of that where the wall goes beneath, or you can use a different type of wall, but that we can discuss later. Okay, but in essence, all you've got to know is the walls go down to your basement, okay, and then you've got a slab that sits here. So if I switch back on course, you'll see here my concrete, and here's my, this goes into the wall a bit, so, but that's fine because it's going into the plaster. And I mean, it's little details for now. So at least now I'm starting to see I've got some slabs going. So my first floor level, okay, I need to go and create. So this is a different type of slab. Okay, and you might have a balcony in a certain area, but in essence, there's a balcony that sits out here. Okay. All right, so in this level, okay, so from first floor upwards, it's a different type of slab. So we're going to go to architecture, floor. So this will be a 255 slab generally. 255 is a good dimension because it's three brick courses usually slab. And once again, I'm just going to use the pick line tool for this. So it's usually the inside structural line of the wall. So here I'm just quickly picking. I'm including the steps in that for the time being. Okay, so goes up until that point. I think it goes up into there. Tab. Tab. I remember I'm selecting the core boundary, not the finished. I want the core. Okay, I've got a basic idea now of where my slab's going to sit. I will fine tune it in a minute, because there's going to be a balcony here, which I haven't really, but I'm using the floor slabs to kind of work out the edge of the balcony. I can always offset this floor later. So remember, they need to be closed loops. It works just like a fold region, for example. So no, everything needs to be a series of closed lines. There should be no open. Okay, so where the stairs go and the lift shafts go, there's some tools where we can either cut around the stair or we use a shaft. We create a shaft penetration. Okay, so for example, where these openings where we could have used a shaft, but I know for a fact that I don't have to use the shaft detail for that. But for where the stairs start coming in, so we'll need to start cutting away some of the slab. But for now, all I'm interested in is getting a floor slab in this area, so I can start seeing where I'm short risers and treads and that kind of thing. So that's that in a nutshell. So this floor slab is covered. So if I go to 3D view, for example, and I select the slab, I'm going to use this view tool. So here I can see, so for example, this floor slab, and I can see this step, there's too many risers here, for example. I know that starts from that level, goes up, that's fine. So now I can start seeing this floor in a bit more detail. Okay, so here I've got all the concrete work, the structural elements, so the floor slabs, for example. Here, for example, these walls will have to stop underneath the slab, for example. So I'll need to make adjustments there, like this one as well. So that you might find will have to be a certain offset, but that we can do. And that's the beauty about starting to introduce your floors. You can start seeing where certain walls will need to stop and etc. Anyway, but in a nutshell, I've got a basic slab in place. That's fine. I'll do the cutouts in a minute. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to go to my second floor. My second, third, and fourth floor should almost be identical. Okay, so second floor, I'm going to go. So once again, this will be floor. So 255, and I'm just going to pick the walls. So wall, And what's nice is you see it's picking the core boundary for me already because it understands, it knows it's a wall. Okay. Okay. Now there's going to be two slabs here. See, here's a balcony. That's going to be a different thickness of slab. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to trim that, trim that. That's fine. Is everything close? It looks like it's good to me. Okay, now we're going to have, so that's one series of slabs. But now, what my guess is, you might find where the doors are, the line of this slab will be on, so this one we might say will move from there to there. Okay, the line of this slab will move from there to there because we're going to have two slabs and there will be a level drop because you don't want water going back into your building, for example. Here I might have to introduce, there is a balcony all the way around you, so this might need to change ever so slightly. So this line might have to go up until there. But that's fine, I can use this step of the slab in a minute because you might find they might not build these walls through. Don't worry about this little detail now, we'll come and sort that out. It's not a train smash. So you might find the slab will go through here, and here we've got the same situation happening. We've got another slab appearing. Okay. So that slab will be cast at a different thickness. Okay, and probably one course down. And it's not bearing weight. So those type of balconies don't bear as much weight as these would, because these will get loaded with furniture. Libraries are notoriously bad. So move this back. All right. Yeah, so that will work for now. Do not attach. I don't attach walls. There's a specific reason, so that's fine. Say no, I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so 3D view. So now we can start using my 3D. Okay, so now I've got my floor slab in for this level. Just remember we're gonna produce two more floor slabs in that area. So I'm gonna go back to my second floor. So here I'm gonna go and say floor slab, and here I'm gonna say edit type, duplicate, and it's gonna be a 170 slab. Okay. Use the spelling. Here I'm going to change this to 170. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to produce the slab again, this floor slab. So there's going to be a balcony over here, and there's going to be a balcony over here. I know that there's going to be some other balconies happening around here, some feature balconies. So that we can also go and add at a later stage. Those ones I'm going to add at a later stage, but I'm going to focus on these main ones because they are driving how this building looks and works in essence. Okay, so I've got a feeling that those are happening. Yeah, so it's happening on this floor. Okay, let me just go to the first floor. Yeah, you can see there's going to be a slab over here and a slab over here. Okay, all right, so and I've got a funny feeling that it might form a roof over that stair, but for now it's not. We can have a look at that design in a minute. But anyway, for now, so I'm going to create a slab that runs on the exterior side here to there, meets up with that face there, goes around here. Look, this stuff is easy to fine tune. Okay, and it'll probably go to that line there. So this little slab, now this slab is going to be 85 mil minus 85 from the second floor level. Finish. Okay, this wasn't joined correctly, so let's quickly do that. Okay, continue, trim, finish, do not attach. I don't attach the floors, there's a very good reason why we don't do it. So we'll go to this view now. So now you see you've got two slabs. We can join these slabs later, but in essence, where you've got a balcony happening. So here you might find there'll be a balcony going up, so they'll build this brick wall past. Then the slab will end differently. It will end in the wall. Okay, parts of the wall. But for now, this is my slab here for my balcony. It's 85 lower because you can now put a screed layer and it can fall to the external side. And they make the slabs thinner. Okay, you can use the join tool to join these slabs together in a minute. And you can see our shop fronts are starting to work. The windows in these areas are starting to work well. Okay, so that's that in a nutshell. So here's our next landing inside. So that's also one riser short, for example. So these stairs need to be looked at. But the stairs are, it's enough to have the information in because you can kind of see how these are starting to work. Okay, great. Okay, now what's nice, let's go to my second floor. I've got one more slab to put in. So we're going to go floor slab and it's going to be 170 minus 85. So remember, pick the external faces. So I'm going to use the wall tool. External side, external side, external side, external side. Don't worry, I can flip that around on external side. So this one is going to jump that way. I know, do that. I'm going to move it to there. Use my trim tool. Okay, and now there's a line here that I'm going to use. I can see it's not straight, but this is fine. This is, a lot of this can be fine-tuned. I'm going to trim it here because technically you might find it's some brickwork that goes past that we'll need to review. There seems to be some step here, but that's information that we'll need to look at. I don't think that's correct. I think something's gone wrong there, or there's a feature that runs around. So that we'll just need to double check. Okay. But in essence, I'm happy with the way the floor slab is located. Just make sure it's totally closed. Okay, finish. Do not attach. Okay. So now, 3D view. Okay, we can start filling in the brickwork over here and where the columns go, but I'm happy with the way this is starting to look and where these floors end, for example. Oh, this is starting to make a bit of sense. So there's a whole complete closed level here, and you'll probably find there's a wall that goes up to a balcony. Yeah, so there's some shop fronts in here. So yeah, so this is starting to make a bit of sense now. We've got our floor slabs. Now, for my third floor and fourth floor, what is great is my second floor is done already. So I can go to my section, select this floor slab, go back to my second floor. Okay, sometimes it's very difficult to select the floor. Now all I can do now is just duplicate this. So I'm going to say copy, I'm going to say paste to align to selected levels, and it'll be level 3 and level 4. And maybe the roof level as well. Done. So we'll go to 3D view. Okay, so now in a nutshell, there's some finer tweaks I've got to do to these levels so that they meet, but that's quite easy to do. All right, but in a nutshell, you can see now I've got my floor slabs in place, so my model's starting to come together. It's very crude at the moment, so I'll start adding the final detail later, but at least now I've got something to start working with. I've got some good detail going, for example, and I'll show you how you can join these walls so that you get rid of the plaster line. For example, these external walls, that's good. Okay, these two walls I can join to get rid of that line, but I don't want to do that right away. These will act as a barrier, so we'll just need to make sure that the correct heights, and I can use the elevation to kind of get that correct. Okay, but yeah, I'm happy with that. So now each floor, you find that I've got, so third floor, for example, I've got a slab in place. I can say, okay, so now that I've got my floors in place, now you can start using shafts to kind of work out where these things will happen. So like your lift shaft, for example, you don't want to go and keep drawing around. You want a tool that will cut the shaft through all the slabs for you, for example. So let's go to fourth floor, and I'm going to say, oh, let's go to ground floor, because I might even want to cut a pit in here. So here I'm going to say I want to create a shaft, and now when it asks me to create a shaft, it asks me the extent of the shaft. So here I'm going to pick, so again it'll pick a wall for me, and it'll know the inside. It should have picked the, I want to say extend into face core, for example. This line I just need to move to the core. Okay. Sometimes they plaster the inside of this, but technically they leave it as face brick, so I might change the wall type to match. Okay, so this is my shaft in essence. Now it's going to ask you, how does your shaft work? So let's say minus 500, 510, because it'll start on the ground floor and it'll extend up into the roof floor, and it'll go past the roof by maybe 2.5 meters. Okay, I'm going to say finish. So what this would have done now, it would have created a shaft through all of those. And what's cool is I can move that shaft later, and it cuts all my floors for me. Okay, so if I go to my ground floor and I go to, I move my section. These are just working sections. I like to incorporate them so I can move them around. So I go to this section now. You'll see now it's cut my, and don't worry about this intersecting, because what you can do is you can use the cut tool. So if I use cut, you can cut it away from the walls, for example, or you use the join tool. The join tool will join these together. So join that, that with that, that with that, for example. So now it joins your floor slabs. Okay, there's a trick we can do to make it work a bit better. But in essence, I'm just deleting the brickwork, or alternatively, you make brickwork goes from there to there, and you just copy it up. Okay, but in essence, I'm just using, that's stuff we can fine tune. For your type of models, we can start addressing those issues. Okay, so I tend to use floor slabs for a roof slab in this essence. I will create a separate video where you can create more intricate type of roofs, but I usually use a slab because technically it is a slab. They just put a screed on top, screed to fall. Okay, so it's very unlikely that we're going to use a roof in this project, but I'll give you a demonstration on how those work. Okay, all right, so I've got my basic floor slabs. The last two levels I'm going to tackle in a separate video just to kind of get level 7, because there's a lot of stuff happening on those roof levels that if you looked at the AutoCAD files, they don't make a lot of sense. So I'm just going to bring this to front, background, foreground. So when you go onto the roof, there's a whole lot of other information happening here, and everything looks like flat roofs, for example, where these toilets. So this information I'm going to do right at the end, because it's just, I want to get the other floors kind of completed up and kind of finalized and neat. Okay, once again, you can see the drawing work. These drawings are very inaccurate. I don't know. I've tried to put everything on the correct area, but it just seems very, very inaccurate for some apparent reason. Okay, I don't know why these drawings are so inaccurate. And that's why if you're using AutoCAD, these mistakes creep in. If you're not using your levels correctly, so it's not going to be 100% correct. So we'll have to use the staircases to kind of guide us, and the lift shaft, because the lift isn't exactly in the correct location, and it's just, yeah, it's crazy how this is inaccurate, how inaccurate this is. Okay, but in a nutshell, that is the correct point. You can see there's inaccuracies here. These things haven't been copied up. That's very poor, very poor. Anyway, I've got enough information to kind of make this work. All right, so let's go to the second floor. So you can see the floor plans are coming together. This needs some amendment, how this works, but that I can fine tune. That's not a problem. Okay, go to my 3D view. Okay. So I've got my basic slabs in place. I'll have to play with these returns. I know how I can fix that actually. Let me show you that very quickly. Let's quickly sort that out. Let's go to second floor. So I'm going to get rid of this wall for the time being. And the best way to do it is make a bit of a return. So pull this back out. This wall I'm just going to extend to here. So switch off line weights. I'm going to say TS. This wall will stand up until there. And then trim. pull this wall down. Okay, so this is going to take a bit of doing. For some reason, this wall does not want to join correctly. So let's do that, pull that to there, and then trim this. Oh yeah, I know why, because the exterior side's to the wrong side. Pull this back. There we go. That's better. So that's all I'm going to do in that situation. Create this wall, pull this back, create this bit of wall, create similar, and go from there to there, and then trim this wall with that wall, trim that wall with that wall. No, still not playing ball. These things, sometimes you got to unclick them, re-click them. Yeah, so let's just put this to there. Why is this wall join? It should be. That's better. That's better. Trim. Why this wall should be. Okay, that we can fix. Okay. It's got to do with how it's joining. There we go. Alright, then we just got to find the right line for that. Second floor, let's switch. Let's go to VG, bring back on your imported categories. So everything's on. Okay, I'm just going to make it, so select AutoCAD file, bring to foreground. Select the AutoCAD file and say foreground. Okay, and we're going to use it to align. So align to that. Okay. And likewise, I'm going to do the other side as well. I'd much rather do that because technically that's how they would build it as well. There we go. All right. So that's how I would build that technically. All right. So here is there's some slight gremlins regarding this floor plan over here. But I remember there were these gremlins. And I would assume these walls stack up. You see these walls here? Let me just make sure. I've got a feeling that they go 115. Okay, that's fine. So second floor. Move this wall from there to there. That's fine. And then move this back, move back 115. Okay, I know that those walls are in the correct location. So you can see that these plans do not line up. It's actually very poor. Move this. Just want to see if anything else lines up. Sure, no, this is terrible. I do not understand why these things do not line up. This is shocking actually. Shows you. AutoCAD drawings sometimes are notoriously bad. Oh, this file, something's wrong here. Let me move this to there. Snap end. Once it's in the correct location, I recommend pinning this. So we'll check on the side, you see, and that's coming from the bottom, from the first floor. I mean, this shaft is coming from the first floor, and that's wrong as well, ground floor. So this is from the ground floor. These walls shouldn't step out. Based on the columns, they shouldn't step out like that. That's just incredible. So let's move this guy. Just want to see where the inconsistencies are occurring. He has an inconsistency with the, yeah, so this is terribly drawn. So these drawings are full of mistakes, All right, so I'm going to use my ground floor and make a call on some of these things, because I can see here there's a lot of areas. Okay. All right, but in essence, I've got my floor plans in place. I've got my balconies in place. We're going to start looking at fine-tuning the stuff. But in essence, my next step will be to start looking at the staircases in more detail. Okay, so let's just go to this section over here. So I know that this stair is on one riser short. We usually leave it one riser short so that it connects to the slab correctly. So let's just go back to my first floor. I'm going to grab the staircase that goes. So let's go to ground floor. So let's go and look at the staircase. All right, so I need to fix the staircase. I see it doesn't fit in correctly, and I see it's not the correct width. So I'm going to go and say edit stair. So the first thing I'm going to fix is the width of the stair. It's 1100. I'm going to leave it 1100 for this stair. It's usually 1000, but I'm going to leave it at that. That's fine for now. Okay. But I know that it's one riser short, so I need to pull this arrow here. So that's 27. Okay. So if you pull the arrow, it's going to add risers. Oh, sorry, it takes from the bottom. My apologies. The arrow takes from the bottom. So it takes from the top, but I want to add one more. So I grab this dot and I put it one more. Now I've got 28 risers, but it hasn't changed where it starts. And drafted stair never really timed because I don't know if they've used the correct. So here you can see it's the correct number, and we'll cut a hole for the stair. And this is not correct either, so I'll probably need to move the stair to there. Okay, and your landing is usually one. Okay, so that's starting to look good. So ground floor. Okay, so let's try and get the stair to start in its stair. Start where the other one started, for example. Move from there to there. Okay, the landing's in more or less the correct position. Okay, and I'll need to compare this to the stairs above and how they work. So I'm going to leave the stair as it is. I'm happy with the way the stair works at the moment. Usually there's a gap here. Sometimes the gap between here, it's got to do with a hand that fits on the hand rating. So here we'll need to have a look how the hand rating looks, but that's going to be a lot later on. Okay. All right, so that kind of works. Now I need to fix this stair because I think where this stair terminates will ultimately determine how this stair works. Okay, so let's go to first floor. All right, so let's go and say this is a connected stair. I'm going to show you this a bit later on. It should not be a connected stair. Okay, anyway, so you tab until you select the staircase itself, tab, and you can go and say edit stair. Okay, all right. The reason why I'll explain what's going on now, but I can make this so let's make all of these 1100 because I need to copy the stair below. Generally, these follow the steps below. 1110. Remember, whatever your stair run is, your landing will have to be the same. Okay. All right, so that's fine. I'm going to move this away a bit. It'll adjust the landing. Likewise with this. Okay. All right, and the whole stair will need to move. Okay, so this will need to move. So let's move the whole stair. Move. Switch on wireframe. Move into there. And this will move. And you can see once again, I'm starting to pick up these slight discrepancies between these steps. Because the stairs from the ground to first, that should never really change. These things should be a fixed width. So I'm going to make this 1000. I'll even make the ground floors. Technically, that's not according to Form C. Common stairs need to be a certain width for fire reasons, but I suppose for this project, I'm going to leave everything 1000. I'll adjust the ones beneath as well and make the landing 1000. Okay. Okay, so let's move the stair back into a good location. Move this from there to there, and move this from there to there. Okay, move this side of the stair to there. Okay, and move this stair back to where this other stair started. Yeah, that's plausible. And there's lots of little things that you need to comply with here. Okay, that's looking kind of true. So align that with that. So yeah, I think these stairs are starting to work now. Finish. Let's go to my section. We're still one riser short. Okay, so that is a slight concern. I don't think they've numbered these correctly. Okay, we've copied the edit riser. So this one will have one more, so it's 19. So there's a slight discrepancy with these stairs. That is quite concerning, because generally you try and make these even. So somewhere in these flights of stairs, there's an extra step that goes up or down. Okay, so that's, I might bring this riser back. It depends. So it's going to affect your landing somewhat. So that we'll need to kind of work out. Okay, so that's, so I'd rather put the extra one at the bottom and always have a short landing at the top, because we can adjust the slab to do that. Okay, so let's just go to your stairs and go to tab until you select the tab, steps, and go and say edit stair. So here I'm going to grab the arrow, I'm going to pull it back one. So there's an extra riser here, so it means that when you come up the steps, all right, so this is going down, then you'll need to go up the steps this side. But generally we do not do this, because you see here it's created an unequal, so the landing, you might find there'd be an extra step when you go up. Generally we try and make these equal. So I think who's ever drawn this hasn't drawn the steps correctly either. Okay, so the only way you can get around that is by adjusting the landing. So let's do that quickly. So let's go to edit steps. So let's go edit staircase. So for example, I would move this guy to meet okay. That's how you get around it. So that means that there's an extra little run on the stair itself. Okay, so there's a bit of a rise. You can either make it on the landing this side or on that side. I'll make a call, but I'm wondering if maybe I make a longer landing on the one side. So that's how you get these to end, especially if you've got a staircase where you've got a shaft. You want your slabs to stop in the same line, and that this stair will then be duplicated. And because there's a function that you make it a connected stair, so it means you can connect the different floors. So it will keep replicating. Okay, so the problem is once you've made it a connected stair, you can't undo it. So that's what I've done previously. So I'm just going to say connected levels. Do it again, and I'm going to select connected levels, and it'll probably go right to the roof. Undo. So I'm going to say connected levels. So I'm going to say add connected levels. Yep, finish. And then add connected levels. Okay. So technically this will be the same state. You want to make this quite generic. Okay. And I've got a feeling that if I pull this back to there, anyway, for now that will work. I'm happy with the way the staircase is working. We can change that a bit later, but in essence, I got the staircase to be the right width. This stair I'm going to manipulate as well. Ground floor, I'm going to make it a meter. Edit stair. The drawings are very inaccurate. Okay. And you see they kind of line up with the steps that we got going. So that's a good sign. So this I'm going to move back to there. It doesn't matter if you have a longer landing. That's definitely possible. And I'll move this back to there. That's fine. Okay, that will work well. So I might introduce a better landing over here to fix this area where they go up. Okay, but generally they should line up. We try and line them up, especially in a shaft scenario. You don't want to cut back. It just complicates things. I'd much rather make the stair on the one side so it has a longer landing, but have a single line of where you go up and down rather. It just makes the hand railings a lot neater. How all that works is a lot more efficient. Okay, so these hand railings will be very difficult to do, but we'll make a plan to make it work. Okay, and you'll find that this will go right to the top and go. I'll go to my 4th floor and my roof plan. You'll find the stairs will probably come out at the top here somehow. So here you can see there's a landing. You get it to lift. So that stair going into the motor room might change once you go back up into the motor room. So there's something happening here that we need to look at. Okay, and then these stairs will be the same. They will try and run the same. So the pattern of the stair technically should be the same for these stairs over here. Okay, so for the rest of the floors. So here we've got, let's see what the width of these stairs is, because this could be totally, wow. I'm sorry to say, but they don't do stairs that narrow. That's totally impossible. Sure, I don't know who's drawn this, but it's not great. Anyway, move this. Okay, those stairs can't be that narrow. I know that for a fact. Let me just see how wide that is. We might have to. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that stair for the time being. I'll come back to that. So these stairs are starting to work now. And you can see where the stairs start. It's incorrect. The way they've shown it, there's not enough rises. So that's, I don't know who's drawn this, but that's incorrect. Needs to be corrected. So we'll fix that now. Okay. We'll make the shaft work a bit better. The staircase needs to be fixed as well. So just see how wide these staircases are. 900. Okay, so get a staircase. 900. 900. One beneath, that's also 900. Your landings will be 900. Okay, the landings will be 900 as well. Okay, this landing will pull back up into this wall. Okay, that's fine. And then this will also move into that wall. Okay, now there's going to be a concrete structural wall that will go up between these landings as well. That's 900. That's 900. Let's see the gap between. That's still not looking 100%. 200. Oh yeah, I need to move this against here. Okay, that's looking better. So there's going to be a concrete wall that runs up. A 300 concrete wall, I guess. Yeah, so let's move this to there. There's another one over here that needs to move from there to there. Okay. Alright, so these stairs are starting to work a lot better. They're in the correct location. Okay, and I just need to make sure that they end correctly. Okay, so the one rise is short, so I'm going to grab this dot and I'm going to pull one more. There we go. Alright, so this line kind of lines up. That's good to see. That's good to see. Alright, so that means that these stop at that level. So they go all the way up until this level here, and then you go outside a door. We just make sure from there to there is enough space to get a door in. Hopefully, yeah, it's enough space to get a door in. However, that's still not technically sound you won't have, so let's go to the first floor. So it looks like it's just an open staircase. So you escape out of here, come down, and then go down the stairs. There's no doorway here. You might find there's a wall up until this point, up until the landing, where you go into the staircase. Okay, so that's doable. Okay, I just want to see these two steps. So this one. Again, I don't think they've allowed enough rises here. That is, can that be right? Anyway, let's see what they've done. Undo. This needs to move. I'm just going to use a reference line so I can get this stuff in the correct location. Actually, these two should coincide. Alright, so there's a slight issue with these steps as well. I see they haven't been drafted correctly as well. So that I'll have to fine tune as well. But that's fine. I've got the bones in place. I'll make a call once I've got the drawing, get rid of the AutoCAD drawing to make it work a bit better. Okay, in essence, I've got those steps working fine. Okay, so that step's working fine now. I've got this step in place. I've got these steps in place. So you can see we're starting to penetrate those steps. So here in 3D view, so what's great now is once I get these steps in place, I can say I can use this tool here and I can start cutting out how these steps work. So select the section box, for example. Okay, so in essence now you want to start cutting out those slabs. You want to make sure you can adjust these slabs. So for example, this slab here, you need to cut out, so edit boundary. So for example, I'm going to pick this wall here, this inside face of the wall. So I'm just using a pick line tool. I'm picking the outside of the walls. I will fine tune it in a minute, that face of that stair. So in essence, it's going to do something like this. Split this line, split, trim, and then align. So here I'm just going to try and pick the face of this wall. Should pick the face of this wall here. So go align. Align. That's better. You can just go to the fourth floor for this as well to fine tune it. So that will go from there to there. Okay, finish. No. Okay, so that's correct. So the wall will start here. That'll cut into the slab. Okay, so here it'll end here. It's a straight line. That looks a bit better. What's great is you can copy and paste this copy, no, select the slab, edit, paste. Doesn't matter which floor you put it on, because technically they should all line up. Do not attach. So now we're starting to cut a shaft out for our steps to go up and down. Okay, likewise with this step, we'll have to do the same for this step. This is a slightly different opening, so edit, paste, align to select the level. Doesn't matter which one you select, it'll always align it. In this instance, split, trim, finish, do not attach. Okay, so now we're starting to get somewhere. Okay, so in theory, I would like to, where these start and end, I would like to keep this line going. I would like to make sure that this kind of ties up correctly. So here I might need to do some adjustment. So where this slab hits that slab, for example, okay, so here I'll need to start doing some adjustment. But the fact that this is starting to work out is reassuring. So here I'll need to do some adjustment just to make these end at the right place. Okay, that's starting to work well. I'm going to go and edit boundary. Again, I'm just going to use the paste function. No, I'm going to join the floors and slabs, etc. So, oh, that's starting to work well. Okay, these join there. These never join correctly, and I'll explain. I use little techniques to make them work a bit better. Okay, but the staircase is starting to work well. I don't like this little that line there. I need to fix that notch. That's not correct. So I need to fix that notch. So either we're going to start the steps there and they stop at a flat landing. That's probably what I'll prefer to do. Yeah, so we'll need to see where how these work out. For now, it's not a train smash. Okay. Anyway, we've got some stairs. We'll fine tune the steps a bit later. In essence, I'm happy with the way that works. Now, the slightly concerning problem I have with these steps is that they're very narrow. Generally, you don't want to go too narrow on steps. 940. They're different sizes. That cannot be allowed. That's not right. So I'm going to make this whole thing 900. So let's go edit stair. 900. 900. Just make sure that your landing should always try and work with the stairs. 900. Okay. So this we can move to here. And not even the risers are the same. How can that not be? That is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So here you need the right amount of risers to meet that. So I'm actually going to use the staircase as above to kind of make that work a bit better. Save project. Okay, let's go to second floor. So here we're going to have a run of steps, and let's try and do this from the beginning. Architecture, stair. So here I'm going to say width, I'm going to make this 900, and start there, stop there. One remaining. Again, I thought this would be the case. They've got this ratio wrong. That doesn't work correctly based on their levels. Okay, so that's another thing slightly concerning. And you can see the doors, these things need to line up, otherwise the shaft does not work correctly. So we're going to have to make some amendments to this. So technique goes up and it ends at the wrong place. So I'd much rather have these start and stop the right place and have an extra landing on the ground or at the top. So in this stair, let's quickly do that. Let's fix that very quickly. So Okay, and let's have a look how that will look. Yeah, that will work well, because you can cast that landing in, and then the steps end and start at the first. This is totally illegal. These steps wouldn't be able to work like that. Okay, so at a boundary, and these steps will need a gap in between of a certain distance. So move that to there. That gap looks pretty consistent to me. However, that's of a concern. So why would they have it sticking out? I'll leave it like that for the time being, but that's not ideal. This door will have to come out a bit so you can accommodate. There's a certain distance that happens here, so that won't work. Okay. Anyway, let's go to my section. So now that I've got the stair working, I would assume that the stair will stop in the right place there, so I can make that adjustment here. So let's go edit. Let's see where the stair will end. So let's grab this dot. Let's add. So we need 2 more rises. Wow, that almost ends at the right spot. So that's quite lucky. We can make that work quite well. So they line up so that the steps also circulate going up. I'll need to make sure that they come up in the right direction, because I've got a feeling that you walk up here and then circulate up. That's how I read it. Let's go to the second floor. So yeah, it looks like you come down and out and you land there. Second floor. Up. So yeah, we'll need to, these things will need to line up. And you see they don't line up with the steps below. That is very poor. So whoever drew these plans, because they were drawn in AutoCAD, they couldn't line things up. I hope they didn't build from these plans. Okay, and that's why we use Revit. Okay, so in a nutshell, I've got these steps going up. Let's go back to my section. All right, finish the step. These steps are more accurate to me than these ones, so I'm going to make them work with this step. Okay, so these steps, I'm happy with this. These sets of rises. So here I'm going to go and say select levels. So it goes on multiple levels. I'm going to say connect, add connection levels. So I'm going to say 1 to there, finish. I'm going to say again, I'm going to add another level to there. Okay. So if I go to my 4th floor, you'll see, if I bring this AutoCAD file to the front, bring to front, foreground, and you'll find on the roof level, yeah. So on your roof level, you see those steps go right up to the top. So these, they have to line up. These staircases have to work correctly. And you can see this is also doesn't really line up that well. It's a good thing we're using Revit so we can make it work correctly. So 3D view. Let's just switch off the section box for now. Okay, go to 3rd floor. I'm going to select the steps here. Go back to 3D view, and I'm going to use my modify. Okay, let me just switch on the section box again. I'm just going to quickly draw a cut through the building. Okay, select these steps and then change my cut to be around those. Okay. Okay. Alright, so it looks like these steps need to work in the opposite direction. So if I select, so go to your 2nd floor. This is quite easy to fix. So go and say tab until you select the step itself, change the direction. Done. Okay. Go to 3D view. That's as quick as that. Alright. So this step arrives up and then you circulate around, round and around. Now this step, I know for a fact will have to be on this side of the column. Okay, for a fact I understand that it'll have to be on that side of the column. And I would actually want to put the step in line with that column, because you might find it that's how they intended it to be. So this step would never work in that location, the way they've drawn it on the ground floor. So that's totally wrong. You can see we've got big issues here, big issues. Anyway, so let's pull this out to there. Okay. All right, so I've got my stair places and I can start building my walls around it, and I can start cutting out a shaft, for example. For these stairs, I can use a shaft very quickly. So I can use a shaft to this level here to cut out the stair correctly, or you can just manipulate the I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm going to use a shaft very quickly. So I'm just going to go and say architecture shaft, and I'm going to say, let's go from 3rd floor. So here I'm just going to draw a rectangle. And finish. The shaft must go, yeah, that will work for now, 3D view. So I've just used a shaft very quickly to make the penetrations. Okay, which works. In this instance, works well. Okay. Okay, the risers are not exactly, so this riser doesn't match, but at least these work well. So that's just worked well. I might want to go from that level there. Yeah. Okay, so this stair needs to be adjusted to work. That stair needs some work. And I'll make these other ones work accordingly. But that's, I'm happy with that. So let's go to my 1st floor. Let's go to 2nd floor. So I'm going to go and say edit stair. This will have to line up. So I'm going to make the width of the stair 900, and I'm going to move it from there, and then this one from there to there. Yep, this is not going to work, so this will have to move to there. So this, I'll have to make some adjustments here, but I'm happy with that now. Going up, that works well.